Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I wanted to go over my top 3 mid to late season walleye techniques. When those fish have moved up shallow, they're spawning, especially at nighttime, and you can catch them from the bank as well as from a boat. These techniques are my top 3 ways to catch them. So let's get into these, and make sure you stick around to the end because I've got a bonus one that you don't want to miss. All right, guys, now as the season progresses and you start to get fish moving up shallower, that jig and plastic is still going to be in my arsenal, but I'm going to go lighter with the jig. So this is a 1/4 ounce VMC Moon Eye jig, and a little bit narrower and thinner maybe with the plastic, depending on the situation. But I really like that Euro Tackle 3-inch B vibe for later in the season. Can be a real killer for pitching up on some of those shallower shelves in areas where those walleyes are moving up. But you can also add in lifts where you start to pick up the bait and then retrieve it for 3 or 4 feet and then drop it back to bottom. I've found that to be a very effective retrieve when the fish start getting a little more active and more shallow. You can also still do the pick up and drop, and as the water starts to warm even more later in the season, you can start really popping them off the bottom and giving them a rip, and they dart off the bottom and then fall back down, dart off the bottom. So as those fish get more aggressive, you can start using them a little more aggressively. But the jig and plastic will work throughout the whole season. So keep that one tied on all the time. Just go with a little bit lighter jig head as you move shallower. All right, guys, the next presentation as the water warms up that's a blast to fish is some sort of rattle bait or lipless crankbait. This is the Euro Tackle Z Viber, and I believe this is a 1/2 ounce size. Purple Joker is a killer color for walleyes. And again, I'll leave this stuff all linked in the description so you can find it. But that bait is so fun to fish when those fish start moving shallow. Especially, it's a great night bait. Caught a lot of walleyes at night on this when they're up moving into those shallow rocks. So we're just going to pitch it out there, and we're just going to jig it. We're basically going to jig this bait off the bottom. We're not going to straight retrieve it. We're going to cast it out there, let it hit bottom, and just pick it up and get it vibrating and jig it a few feet at a time. Just and let it fall back to bottom, back to bottom. And you can start ripping it as the water warms up, especially later on as those fish start moving back out and the water's in the 50s. You can give it more aggressive rips, but it typically works well as sort of a jigging bait. And that's one of my favorite ways to fish kind of those mid to late season walleye run walleyes. Works great in about 2 to 3 feet all the way down to about 15 feet is about as deep as these are really practical, and they start to get a little bit light to fish much deeper than that. But they work great in current, great at night, and they really get the fish's attention and kind of create those reaction bites, especially if the fish aren't really feeding necessarily. That thing just rips in front of their face and they just smoke it. So that's another great presentation for more of that mid to late season. All right, guys, the last presentation that I really start to add in towards the spawning period when those fish have moved shallow is jerk baits. Jerk baits are absolute classic lures. Lots of guys use these from shore when the walleyes have moved up at night. My favorite 3, or my top 3, are the Rapala X-Rap, the Husky Jerk, and the Storm Thunderstick. Between those 3 and maybe the Rapala Original Floaters, you're gonna have one that's gonna catch those fish. And I just kind of rotate through them, and depends on the night or the time of day sometimes, just what the one they're gonna wanna eat. And also, you have to vary the retrieve with these. Sometimes a straight retrieve is gonna get you way more bites than putting any action into that bait. Just a slow crank, just enough to keep that thing moving through the water. Other days, a hard snap like you're fishing for smallmouth with that slack line, bam, 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 is gonna get way more bites. So I found at night, typically, more the steady retrieve works better. In the daytime, the jerk pause retrieve works better. I've got another video all about jerk baits. If you want to see that, I've got a link down below in the description for that video. But definitely don't want to go out to the river mid to late season without your jerk baits, because that can be an absolute killer for those late season walleyes. All right, guys, so there's your top 3 mid to late season techniques that are going to work most of the season. But I wanted to throw in this bonus technique that works really well after the post spawn, and as those fish start to move out towards the mouth of the river and back into the lake. It can be tough to catch them, especially those females, but a reaction bite really works well. And I've found that snap jigging a straight tail plastic like this Crush City freeloader on a heavy jig really gets those fish to snap. This is a 1/2 ounce sleek jig from VMC, and I'm just gonna pitch this out there as far as I can, let it hit bottom, and then I'm gonna pop it and just snap jig it. And it just seems like that darting bait just lands in their face and they just hit it out of just a pure reaction bite. So that one works really, really well. Kind of that post spawn. You might pick up a few extra fish doing that might not be interested in feeding as much. So that one definitely is a trick to keep up your sleeve for those late season post spawn walleyes that may not bite something just to eat it, but you need to get kind of that reaction out of them. So keep that one in the back of your mind for those conditions when they get tough, and I bet you can catch some fish doing that. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to leave you another video right here, and we'll catch you later. Get hooked up.